sorry, I kind of reached the end of my battery life. Not my battery life, my storage life. So I needed to come in and do this again. So let's get some light down here. I'm really sorry for the reflection here. So I know that I had done this at 3 before, and I'm looking at 1.9. Oh, and also this is like a 0.9. I like using this instead of a thicker width. I'm going to come down 4. I'm just coming down from this line, which I need to look at this again, and the reason I do this is I knew it was going to be off. And again, the reason I do this is because if I put the mark on the end, it's not going to be quite right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's 4. And I just line it up with whatever. There's 4. I wanted this drawer to be at least 1.2 millimeter or 1.2 centimeters. Then all I do, and again, I use something that I can see through. Okay, so there's that. Now I want this to be 1.2, and that looks a little better. I think it's going to be 1.1 instead to make it even. And there are times in designing furniture where you have to, even though I would like this drawer to be thicker, this is basically the opening. Okay, and you can see here, the reason I make 2 is so I can line these up and then just draw the line in. Now I'm using the wrong side of this because I've got a little divot in here that I hit with a knife accidentally. You're not supposed to cut with these, but I unfortunately do all of the time because I am a lazy woman. Line up. Yeah, I did a double line there. Man, I am just showing you all the really cruddy ways to do this. Sometimes using this, the metal, is a little easier because I can't accidentally get under it. So, okay. I like that a bit better. I wish it weren't even like that, but I had to do that because when I went through and was looking at the piece that I wanted to get in here, I wanted this piece to comfortably sit within this. I couldn't really raise this anymore. I did the same thing over here where it's like I can just get this one in, and I may be lowering this. I'm not sure. So that's how I do some of the drawing. You can see on some pieces, like this is a piece of paper here. I don't know why I do this. I have to draw my lines in first and give myself a border. It's a psychological thing. I have no idea. I know that the edge of the paper is as straight as it's possibly going to be. However, I think it's just early paste up girl. I need to have something that's away from an edge in case an edge gets messed up, if something gets torn or messed up. So let's just say I'm going to be measuring out from this line. I want to have those tabs being at least 1 centimeter. And I do the same things where, let's move this up. I'll usually just pick one. Okay. And then I'll come in and do these. Now sometimes there are times in which it's like, oh, this is really uneven, and I can tell. I'll look at it and redraw. I try to make sure that the little marks that I've made are about the width of my pencil lead, so that, like this one up here, it just disappeared into the pencil lead almost. This one's a little bit off. I'm not going to be mad at that. And then let's just say I'm going to be measuring in here. If I were doing another one at 14, I need to have enough that I have a centimeter for most of the pieces at the top. You can also see why this goes so much slower. Okay, and I need 14. So 14 would mark it down here. I don't like that. I have a habit of putting an X through a line I don't like. I don't particularly like it. Let's mark this at 12. So again, come up here, mark this at 12, line it up, and draw straight through. So you can see why this starts taking me a bit longer. There's some things like when I add in, I sometimes go in and automatically add in tab lines just so I know that I'm not supposed to. I know what that particular piece is there for. And if it's getting complicated, I'll come in and just kind of erase a bit of that out so I know where things are. And you can see this is away from the edge. This also kind of helps too when it comes to tabs. I might need more for a tab rather than less for a tab. I'd rather have too much than not enough. So, you know, when it comes to putting in, like, this is a 5mm border all the way around, it's the same sort of thing. I come in. There's a lot of stopping and checking things. And a lot of erasing. I remember as a very young design student, I absolutely rebelled against having to make everything completely straight, putting things like doing paste ups with Ruby Lith and Amber Lith, which is what you used to give the printer. And it was basically all of your text and your photographs and things placed precisely, drawn with blue, non-repeatable pencil. It's something that I still know how to do. And I'm glad I know how to do it because I can do all of this. But it was something that took me a really, really, really long time to finally wrap my head around. And I think the computer too was something I wasn't. Once the computer was then introduced, I still spent a lot of time feeling as though I had no idea what was going on. Absolutely none. Because it was taken out of my hands. So then I started realizing that I needed to rely more on my original graphic design training, which meant I was using physical tools. We had a graphic designer who, I'm not going to repeat his name because he's someone who turned around in the long run and did me dirty on a couple of things, and it wouldn't, you don't want to speak ill of people. For all I know, he's repented. Probably not. Anyway, he was a graphic designer within the city that I was attending university at for graphic design. And when I say graphic design, I went to the Herron School of Art, the John Herron School of Art. I don't know that the John Herron School of Art exists anymore. I think it's the John Herron Arts High School now, which is silly because we always used to call it the hallowed halls of Herron High when we were there. Anyway, this designer came to, we had lots of designers that came and spoke to us while we were in training. And I remember him holding up a pencil and saying, "Can you still design? Are you still a designer when the electricity goes out?" And I really remember taking that one. That one hit me. And I'm kind of like, am I still a designer when the electricity goes out? That's interesting. So I took that to heart, and I still am implementing a lot of the stuff that I learned. Now, I've shown you a couple of the tools that I've been using. let's put this in as representative of all of my triangles. I also use a bone folder. This is for all kinds of things. Sometimes I use it to hold things down when I'm gluing them together and I need to get into a corner. Other times I'm using it to burnish or press down paper on something. I just did a whole bunch of paper where I was creating the glued together paper pieces. My husband just recently purchased these for me. These are our ball stylus folding tools, or I guess we'd say what I use these for is I take pieces of paper and let's just say that I need to fold this piece of paper. I put something underneath it just to give it something to hold on to so it's not going to go through the paper. So you can see I've kind of creased that a bit. You can even kind of see it sideways. I don't think right now because my camera's not that great right now. You can see it. And I look on the back and you can kind of see that little. And it makes sure that when I fold things, it's going to fold in a straight line. Now, what I do, because I'm just this kind of person, is I use this, the bone folder, to make sure it's a nice, incredibly good fold. So then I can progress. And I use these a lot when I was teaching as well, when I did modular origami and had a bunch of other lessons where kids got to use. I liked giving kids new tools to use. But these little ball styluses, he got me a set of them that were like super on sale. I don't know this brand. All I know is that they had a 1 millimeter and a 1.5 millimeter. There's some other bigger ones that I'm sure I can use as well. I don't know if I've used this bigger one. So you can burnish things down with these, or they're very good for folding. So you can see how neatly and tidily that folds things, and you can do what you're going to do with it. Yes, I use those. I keep getting off subject. When it comes to cutting, I have two cutters. I have my beloved yellow Olfa, which is just a craft utility knife. I like this one because it's steel and plastic. And then I have my heavy duty Fiskars that for some reason there's something goofed up on the inside of this. I can't ever get it to completely lock the blade in, but I don't mind because I actually tilt the blade when I'm working on it, and it allows me to see better when I'm cutting. So I'm not too mad at it. It's an excellent knife. I like the little padded thing here, and this is a hefty blade. And then I'm using a tiny pair of scissors. I use these the most when it comes to cutting out tabs. I'll often just cut this out and then use my scissors to cut these out because it just makes it a whole lot easier to do. And these were inexpensive. I got like 2 pairs for $10 or something or other. So I have one in the wings and one that I use. And one of the things that put me over the top with these is I like the little cover because I stabbed myself with really sharp scissors before and I didn't like it. I also do have another pen. This is a 9, and you can see the difference between these two. I mean, chonky boy, skinny boy. And they don't make these anymore, and I really loved them. It was the Pentel Click 09. Maybe they still make them and I just can't find them because I'm poor. I like these because I like this mechanical bit. And let's see, I've got a pair of tweezers in here when I need to like really get in and get stuff. So yeah, it's not, I think all in all, including the paper, I think maybe a grand total of $50-$60 maybe on all this stuff, including the paper. And again, I purchased stuff on sale. So yeah, that's how I do the majority of the drawings for these pieces. And it also allows me, once I finished a physical drawing and I take a photograph of it, I've got kind of a poor man's copyright on it. So I have a paper trail of I did this, design this, and when. Because more and more often I am maybe taking influence from a previous design, Poole and Doris Howard, etc. But I am making the piece myself, if that makes any sense. So I hope you've enjoyed this little dive into how I'm actually sitting down and putting these drawings together, how I'm doing everything, how it goes from this to something like this. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how I actually begin putting these things together and what pieces go where. That makes any sense. So thanks, patrons, and I'll see you in the next video.